Hi, I'm Judy Butterfly Farlow. I'm a storyteller. I hope you enjoy these videos, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. That way you'll get new notifications with new stories. Also check out my website. I'm way more than just a storyteller.
So there'll be two stories, but please welcome to the stage Butterfly, Judy Farlow.
How is everybody tonight? Doing good? Good. Yeah. Glad to be out where it's not freezing, right? Isn't that wonderful? You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? Well, I was a cute, chubby baby. Then I was pleasantly plump child. You see, I'm my father's daughter, and the women from that gene pool were Rubenesque, well-endowed, Mae West type women. My grandmother, who never wore a size less than 16, would say that she was a fine figure of a woman. But I was growing up in the age of Twiggy. Curves were out, skinny was in, and I tried really hard to get skinny. My mother put me on a diet when I was just a very, very young teenager. She went and got me Metro-Cal. Y'all remember that? She put me on Metro-Cal, but she didn't read the instructions very well, because instead of giving it to me as a substitute for a meal, she gave it to me as an addition to a meal. So as you can guess, I didn't lose any weight. Metro-Cal tasted awful, but as my mother said, reminding me of an old adage, beauty must suffer. Well, that's when I began my lifelong fight with dieting. I tried every diet known to man. I tried at the time the Atkins Wonder No-Carb Diet, which has had a revival. I also tried the Zone Diet. I tried hypnotism, and I tried acupuncture, a staple in my ear that I was supposed to push, and it was supposed to stop me from being hungry. The only thing it did was give me an extra piercing where I hadn't wanted one. That was my dieting, up and down and up and down. Some diets would work for a little while, but not forever. And some of them made me really, really sick. So up and down I went. And my self-esteem, it didn't go up, it went down. A few years later, after fighting the Battle of the Bulge for years and years, a friend of mine said, because she knew I had issues with my self-esteem and my body image, she was a psychiatrist, and she said, what I want you to do is I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to say to yourself, I love myself. Right. I said, but I don't. She said, fake it till you can make it. And so I decided to give it a try. I got me a long length mirror and I set it up and I started looking at myself from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top. I looked at these feet that my grandmother said were firm foundations. I never had to worry about the wind blowing me over. I'll be just like one of those dolls that used to hit the head weights would just go back and forth like that because of those big old feet. She told me if I didn't start wearing shoes, when I got older, I'd have to wear the boxes and throw the shoes away because my feet would just get bigger and bigger, and she was right. But they've been some good feet. They've taken me to travel for thousands of miles. They've taken me hiking up the Appalachian Trail. They've taken me up to see the Eiffel Tower. They've taken me through the Swiss Alps and up to see the Temple of Delphi. I'm telling you what, these are some really good feet. And these thighs that have been called thunder thighs, well, I'll tell you something. They're strong enough to save the life of two people swimming. And because I saved the life of those two people, there are now 8 people that are their descendants on this earth. And they're going to be bringing more life to this earth. And who knows what that might help, what that might bring to this earth. These are some good thighs. Now, don't want to talk about this part right here? I had somebody call me Crisco Kid one time for fat in the can. Hurt my feelings really bad. Till I met Mr. Smith. Now, Mr. Smith was a school teacher, and he admired greatly Mrs. Brown, who had the classroom next to him. And he confessed to me that he loved to watch her walk down the hall because she had a rather ample bottom. And he said when he watched her walk down that hall, she was a rhapsody of movement. I've tried to watch myself as I walk. I'm kind of a rhapsody going too. And then I look at these hips and this middle. Now, magazines and news media tell me that they're way too big to be beautiful. But you know what? These hips and this middle bore 2 babies, gave life to them, kept them cushioned and safe until they were born. These are some really good hips and a good middle. And this bosom, which I grew early in life to my distress, because my brother would tease me and he'd say I was so big I was going to have to have a derrick to hold me up. Made me so self-conscious that for years I went around stoop-shouldered so that nobody would know that I had this large bosom. But in looking in the mirror, I realized this large bosom, it also fed those 2 babies that I bore, giving them all of my nutrients and immunities, everything they needed to thrive. And I'm going to tell you what else. If you happen to be with me on a plane and the plane lands in the ocean, you're going to want to be with me because I've got my own personal flotation device. Now, these hands. You know, you're always told that you're supposed to have long, slender, artistic hands. Mine are not. But there's some really good hands. They've planted lots of flowers. They've kneaded bread. They've wiped away tears from a child's face and painted lots of pretty pictures. There's some really good hands. And these arms. Now, they tell me that these arms are short and stubby, not beautiful. Well, I'm going to tell you what. I'm a children's entertainer. I have entertained more than 10,000 children. And because of that, and these arms, I've been able to give hundreds and hundreds of hugs. These are some really good arms. And this head, well, I got a pretty good brain. It thinks pretty good, and sometimes, surprisingly, I think I might be a little bit smart. And these eyes that I was teased about when I was little because one of them was crossed, these eyes have seen thunderstorm lightning across the sky at midnight. I've seen dew on a flower early in the morning, and I've witnessed the wonder of a child's first smile, and it's helped me see all the wonders of the world. Crossed or not, these are some good eyes. And these ears that sometimes stick out a little bit too much, why, I've heard little creeper frogs whelping in the spring. I've heard the mockingbirds singing in the morning. I've heard beautiful music. And I've also heard the song of the angels and the Alps. These are some good ears. And this mouth. Now I'll tell you, I've been blessed with a mouth. Anybody that knows me will tell you that. I use it a lot. I've told lots and lots of stories and given lots and lots of kisses. And because of this big mouth, I also was one of the first female disc jockeys in the whole country. I got my FCC license and able to be a disc jockey in a male-dominated occupation at the time. Been a good mouth. And when I look in the mirror and I see these wrinkles on my face, I think to myself, that ain't anything except a roadmap of my life's adventures. All according to how you look at things, right? And you know, I notice I'm just a miracle work in process, ongoing. Now, I tell you, I entertain children. And one of the things I do is I face paint. And I noticed with little girls, when I would face paint them, with little girls between the ages of 3 and 6, I'd say, "Do you know you're beautiful?" And they'll kind of giggle, and blush a little bit, and they'll say, "Yeah." But if you ask a little girl after 7, most of the time if you ask them that same question, "Are you beautiful?" they'll say no. And it makes me wonder, what are we teaching our little girls? What messages are we giving to them to make them think that they're not beautiful? And so, after I paint their faces, I put up a mirror to them and I say, "Okay, you have to say this with me. Ooh, ah, I am beautiful." Well, it also makes me think of my 3rd grade teacher, Miss Nelson. Miss Nelson looked at me, a little 8-year-old girl, who had a weak eye and had to wear a patch on my eye part of the time. And that was also the year that my mother had discovered Tony Home Permanents. Y'all remember those? Miss Nelson looked at me and she said, "Why can't you be pretty like Cherry Cochran?" Broke my heart. I wanted to be just like Cherry Cochran. Cherry Cochran had beautiful blonde curls and beautiful blue eyes. Sparkling she was, the prettiest girl and the most popular girl in the class. I wanted to look exactly like Cherry Cochran, but I didn't. I looked more like little orphan Annie in the cartoons with a patch on one eye and hair all over everywhere. Miss Nelson broke my heart. Because you see, I had admired her. I had trusted her. And I believed her. And in those few words, she made me believe that I wasn't pretty. She made me believe that I was ugly. But now when I look in that mirror and I see myself from the head to my toes and from my toes to my head and the inside and the outside, I see all of me, and I say, "Ooh, I am beautiful."